Hello and welcome to another Big Hype podcast. And today, your host, Jonathan Mudd, is joined by Eilish Tierney.
Hello.
How are you doing? You all right?
I'm all good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. And I'm glad I did that right, because we were just talking about that, and how some announcers, maybe some people, may just say that wrong. So for the record, from the horse's mouth, the name is...
It is Eilish Tierney.
There you go. So for all future ring announcers that are calling her, hopefully in Matchroom and Boxer and so Big Mo, you're listening. That's how to say it properly.
One day.
Yeah, Dave Del Monte, that's how you say it properly, just for the record. So excellent. Anyway, I'm so glad that you've joined us today, and it's been a long time getting you here. And I'm really glad that you are here, because obviously you're a new boxer in that capacity, still quite young in the start of it, but obviously there's more to the story than just the pro side, which I've seen. So just to take us back to what it was like before boxing and how you got involved in boxing.
So before boxing, I was working. I just had a 9 to 5, quite basic job. Like it was nothing crazy. I was overweight, and one of my colleagues was like, "Do you know there's a boxing gym around the corner? You should get into it. Like that's how I've lost my weight." And I was like, I don't really think boxing's for me, but if it helps with weight loss, definitely I'm there. I had my first session in the December of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
By March 2020, we were in lockdown.
True.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
everything I learned was over Zoom in my drive
Wow.
to my neighbours. My neighbours were rather confused just watching me shadow box in the middle of a cul-de-sac, which you don't get often. So um, eventually
No.
I lost 5 stone during lockdown, I think it was now.
Oh, fair play.
Just from being like, I was still fortunate enough to work. So the minute I left work, all I wanted to do was just be outside for as long as I possibly could. So I was either
Yeah. No.
shadowboxing on the drive or running around the village. And then the weight, yeah, soon
I
he fell off. And the
Yeah.
minute we got back into the gym and I was hitting things, I loved it, fell in love with it.
Because lockdown for a lot of people, they went the other way. I was like you. I thought, I probably shouldn't say it, but I was like, I'm going to go out for an hour exercise, which somehow managed to turn into a 6 mile walk, and there was 2 hours. Sorry for everyone listening, but yeah, that's what I did. And like you, the weight was losing. I was losing weight, and then I've got back into work and everything else, and I've started putting weight back on. So the last two bit years, I've just put weight on, and I don't mean to. And I you've done really well to keep that up and keep going, because the momentum a lot of people had during lockdown, unfortunately, has diminished off and fine. So did you have, obviously we had your pro debut in York Hall back
Hmm.
in February this year.
Yeah.
Before that, did you have any fights? Did you have any sort of amateur bouts or anything like that? Or
So I actually came up through the white collar route, which is actually becoming like more acceptable, and like you see people like Rihanna Dixon like absolutely smashing it at
yeah,
the world level, and that's exactly how she came through. So I started doing like the 12-week charity training. Um,
okay,
Done that, had my first fight, which I lost on a split decision, and that was going to be one and done. I was going to raise the money for a
mm-hmm.
charity, and that'll be it. And then my coach was like, "Are you really going to leave on a loss?" And I was like, "No, okay." So I'll do another camp. 8 fights later, we we sat down and had the discussion about my potential and where we could go with it. And we
Good.
were like, let's just go the amateur route. Let's see if
Uh-huh.
I can hold my best with some of the girls that have been doing it since they were like knee
Yeah.
height. And I only had 3 amateur bouts before I decided to turn over.
And I mean, obviously, the amateur scene, I'm quite heavily involved. We talk to other boxers about the amateur scene as well, and it's a great breeding ground. But sometimes I think in some weight divisions and some categories, there's probably some areas that are lacking, and I'm guessing. I don't know. Maybe the quality of the fighters, maybe the quality of the people. I'm not surmising that's the case, but was that similar? Was that sort of case the reason why you sort of pushed into the pro rather than stay in the amateur to try and sort of get a shirt or a box cut medal or something? Or
The plan was to do like the devs or try and do like a box cup, but my first two opponents, they like no disrespect to them, they'd only just started the amateurs themselves, and I think they saw my white collar like record and
Mhm.
was like, oh, it's white collar. That's not real boxing. And then obviously I turned up and beat them both, and then I think I started to take a bit more seriously. So the level
Yeah.
in opponent I was given for my last amateur bout was still like I've had two
Yeah.
professional fights, and that was the hardest fight I've ever had. That
So
girl was a weapon.
so turned over pro like we said in February this
Mhm.
year. Talk us through that debut. Talk us through how what was going through your mind, how it what it was. It was a unanimous point win over the girl anyway. But what was going through your minds on the lead up to the fight?
I just didn't understand how I'd got there. Like 3 years prior to that, I was shadowboxing in my drive, and now I'm making my professional debut at the most iconic place to box, and I couldn't believe it. Like I didn't care if I was first on, last on. Like it was just an honor to be there, and I've never felt like I was okay until I was about to walk out, and I could hear people, and I was just like, this is all real now.
So
It
before
was
you walked
a
down the
bizarre
curtain,
experience.
so you walked off the stage. Was that we had the staging up, didn't we, for that one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so walk down the stage into the arena, down to the ring. That ring walk probably seemed like a lifetime.
I remember just standing there and just like jumping on the spot, like trying to like rev myself up, and I was just looking around and I just couldn't believe it. I was like, I've sat here and watched people. Like I didn't think I'd be the one walking through the curtain, but it was crazy. And the minute I was in that ring, I was like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
That's great because that obviously that moment I can only surmise. I've never done it myself, and I take my hat off to anyone who wants to do that and get in the ring. To be brutally honest with you, the mental capacity you've got to have, the physical capacity you've got to have as well to be able to perform at that level for 4 rounds. I know it's only 2 minutes for the girls, but that might change in the future. Who knows? And I'm sure at the white collar level, you were probably maybe doing some 3 minute rounds. I would imagine maybe in the amateurs, maybe as well. No, in the
No,
amateurs, no. The
never.
amateurs stay the same, don't they? It's 2 minutes.
They do in the championships, I believe, go to three
Okay.
minutes, but I didn't stick around long
No,
enough to
no,
find
that's fair
out.
enough. Fair enough. So yeah, that's great. What was your corner? What was your corner saying to you during the fight? Do you remember?
Um, from what I can remember, we stuck to the game plan. We just wanted to establish we just wanted to put on a good performance because I'd come from a very limited background, and I'm still what I'd class a baby boxer in terms of like no one knows who I was. No one like they just saw a girl with a weird name come up the white collar route, and I was like, this was my moment to make a statement, and I just wanted to box beautifully. Like obviously a knockout would have been absolutely lovely, but I just wanted to make a statement and show that it doesn't matter which route you come from. Boxing's boxing, and I belonged in that ring that night.
Yeah, but every round was yours. Every round
Yeah.
was yours. You boxed brilliantly, from what I remember. Being being around the ring as well and watching that, it was just controlled, as you said. It was stick to your game plan. It would have been great if something like that had happened, but with the shorter rounds and with the level of opponent, obviously it is it is the top level of that sort of capacity in our
Hmm.
industry. So obviously, coming out of the back of that, what was the feeling after the bout? Did you go celebrate? Did you get out?
I was absolutely fine until I saw my mum and I saw like all the people were there for me. They were just like this sea of people, and I was just started crying. I was like, who told me that I could do this? And then I just didn't shut up about it for the whole way home. I was like just like replaying everything, and my friends were like, yeah, we know, we were there. So we stopped at McDonald's, had some cheeky chicken nuggets, and I was back in the gym a week later, just ready to go again.
Just straight back.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I know we're not no downtime at all. Then, so it was straight back in. Away we
yep,
go. Let's look at where we want to. You reviewed, obviously, I'm guessing, the tapes
yeah,
and the videos,
massively.
and your corner went through that with you and everything else there. Who was most instrumental then in getting you through that first bat and the second fight?
It's got to be my team around me. Like, for my manager originally was the we sat down and had the conversation. He was like, "I think you should turn professional," and I was like, "Really?" Like, he was like, "Yeah, no one in there's not a female in Suffolk that have done it yet, so just be the first." And I was like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah,
And then my coaches were like, "We'll back you 100%. Wherever you go, we go." So hours of training, hours of just drilling the same thing to, either keep my hands up or like just the little things that make you stick out, like finding the power, finding my feet, and just trying to cram as much into my brain as I can in the short 3 years I've been boxing. But yeah,
yeah.
definitely the people around me, my coaches and my manager, I just wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without them.
And going into the second fight, then that was May. May just
Hmm.
gone. Kerry Orton, very known. I've known Kerry for a while. Again, very well known and respected boxer as well in her own right. And
Yep.
again, six rounder this time.
Yep. It was a nice step up. She was a lovely girl and she came for a fight, and that was exactly what I wanted. Like, I think the sheer length of her arms took me by shock in the first round. Um, I think being my second fight in York Hall as well, I was kind of like, I'm used to this now. Like, this is where I want to
Yeah.
box. Um, but yeah, the first round I lost, which I was fine with. My coach was like, it's not going to break you. You just
Mhm.
have to think about what you're doing and actually move your feet. And I remember just sitting there, and my coach was like, you either want it or you don't. Like, I can't get in there and do it for you. So we changed the game plan. I implemented it and we got the win. But she was an absolutely lovely girl.
Yeah, again, I know I've known Kerry for a few years, in other places as well beyond boxing as well. So yeah, totally and utterly understand what you're saying. She is good, but she brings the fight, and that's the point. And that's
100%.
what you want in game opponents. You want someone who's going to challenge you, try and push you in a different direction, someone who can educate you in some respect as well, whilst being in the ring. So, did you take it? Did you take anything from that learning lesson that you sort of will take now into the next fight, into the next one, and the next one?
Yeah, I learned a lot from that fight. It was the first six rounder I've ever done competitively. So to share that experience with Kerry will always be a memory of mine. Like, but it was just the sheer like pressure and like finding those shots and not rushing. And it's okay if you lose a round. So you've got five more. Like, just setting up my shots and just watching what I'm doing. Sometimes I got caught up a little bit in the big, like looking for the head and wobbled her, and I just wanted to take her out. And my coach was like, just enjoy it. It doesn't matter if you take her out. Like, just learn what you're doing and just put it into practice. And for that, I did, and I was quite proud of changing the game plan halfway through and just adapting and overcoming. But yeah, she was a lovely girl, lovely girl.
So we're going to be looking perhaps before the end of 2024 to have at least another one under the belt, perhaps.
So we are hoping to be out in the Ipswich show in October
Okay, so
because
we've
it'll
got a little
be,
bit.
yeah, I'm back in camp. I'm training. I'm sparring because of the nice bruise
I
on
was
my
going to say
nose.
that when I
But
saw that when I saw it when I came on, but I wasn't going to say anything. I thought better not to, just in case. So good. So yeah, so training at the moment's going well.
yep, I'm feeling good. Obviously, just working on dropping weight a little bit, but nothing too significant. We're just working on just throwing those punches nicely and just trying to like maybe get a stoppage. It's not something I actively want to look for, but in the women's game especially, it will make a statement and it will get my name out there and progress my career a little quicker than winning on points. But I'm I can box on the back foot, I can box on the front foot, so I just want to keep going up. I don't want to stay stagnant.
And that's fair. That's fair. Um, Yeah, there's not a lot I can say around that. I mean, yeah, keep active, keep on busy, like you say. Yeah,
Hmm.
if you can get the knockout. If you can't, then that's okay. That's all right. But like you
Yeah.
say, I think notice is paid probably unduly if you do get fast knockouts, because sometimes those, yeah, the old expression, the jab will take you around the world, but the hook will give you the knockout and give you the
Yeah.
championships. But it's that sort of, understandably, having the both. It's depending on what you want to get out of boxing, I suppose. So the next question really probably is, what is the end goal of your boxing career? What would you like to accomplish within the boxing career?
I just like I feel like I've already achieved so much by being the first female professional from Suffolk. I've opened the doors for the rest of the girls in the county to be like, we can do it, like, and no one can take that away from me. Like, I would love to obviously be world champion and have this legacy, but I've already started, and no one can take that away from me. So just to keep progressing, keep learning my craft, and hopefully just encourage some other girls to pick up a pair of gloves like I did, and it will change your life.
I That's a that's a very noble thing. I mean, like you say, if championships come, great, I
Yeah,
guess.
I wouldn't say no.
I mean, in the game, obviously, you get to a certain level, and the opportunities start to appear. Like you say, your name's recognised within the committee rooms around the board, and they will say, well, actually, there's a potential for a women's Southern Division title, or a British or even English championship, or something that would come forward, perhaps because you're putting your name out there as well. I mean, that we've certainly seen that in the game over the last couple of years, where we've had women's Welsh championships now come through. We've had English, Welsh, and British
Yep.
women's championships as well. So again, there's more opportunities, I think, now for you to get
Yeah,
some
I'm
championship
open
gold.
to
And
them all.
just message my manager. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let's make the fights. Yeah. So obviously that's great, but I think obviously that's more noble. Obviously, and are you giving back? Are you doing something like with schools or academies or ABCs or anything like that at the moment? Then.
I was invited back to my high school a few weeks ago.
Oh wow.
And if you'd have told me when I was sat there, this is what I'd be doing, I'd have laughed at you. So to go back and have a chat with some of like the year sevens, nines, and 11s, it was nice. It was very just opening and just like eye opening for me in a sense that people actually believe that I could go the full way. And hopefully, I've just encouraged a few other kids to pick up a pair of gloves and just try something new and just be brave enough to say yes.
Yeah, I think, and that's phenomenal. I'm smiling all the way through because that is giving back as much as you possibly can back to your own community and back to your own people, and saying, well, look, if I can do it, well, nothing can stop someone else
Yeah,
coming behind you and stuff like that. And hopefully, someone say, well, actually, a few years down the line, I'll be doing another podcast with someone else from your area, and they'll go, yeah, it was Tierney who got me involved. She came to my school.
hopefully,
She came to my gym, or
hopefully.
whatever. Is there someone who inspires you then to keep going? Because obviously you're saying obviously you want to be the inspiration as well, but is there someone that keeps you going? I know you mentioned your coaches already, but anyone else that in boxing or outside of boxing that keeps you grounded and keeps you pushing forward?
In terms of boxing, obviously, seeing what Fabio Wardley has achieved is a massive inspiration. And to have him at the same gym and just like have him as someone I can talk to, and like he was cornering me a few weeks ago sparring, like it's that kind of knowledge and that kind of just like eye opener to me that he was in the exact same space I was, and he's single handedly taking over the world. Like he will be world champion. There is no doubt about that. Like his fight with Fraser Clark was one of the best heavyweight
Great bout.
clashes I
Great
think
bout.
we've seen in years.
Yeah, absolutely
And I
fantastic
don't
bout.
think many people will top that. I don't think the rematch will top that. I think those two will go down in history for that clash. And that's exactly what I want to achieve. And I look at what he's done in boxing. And I'm sure there was hundreds of people that told him he was white collar. You're not going anywhere in the pros. and then what, 18 knockouts later and a draw. Like, come on,
Yeah,
you can't not deny that. But
yeah, no,
yeah, to have him as just someone I can talk to and like have as a like someone on my side and someone who believes in me is incredible. I just that kind of just to see his passion for it and just to feed off it is like it's a huge inspiration.
that's grand. That's great. That's great. So, with regards, obviously, to the gym and obviously where you're going, obviously what you're saying, and I really respect what your mission goals there are, is to be, you know, that inspiration. And if championship comes, it comes. Yeah, you're very sort of humble around that fact, and I respect you for that as well, because you know there is more to this sport sometimes than just the goal, just the championships, just having your name in lights. Paydays and so on,
Mm,
and yeah, I mean you'll understand. Obviously, we've talked to other podcast people about sort of the costs of training and being in camps. You know, I can see your eyes lighting up when I say that. I mean, it's not cheap to do this at this level, and unfortunately, there's not the financial support at this level either, is there?
not particularly, especially in the women's boxing. Um, I'm very lucky to have the sponsorships that I do to allow me to work as boxing as my full-time job. So I'm constantly training in and out of the gym. Like I'm very fortunate to have people in my life that believe in me and want to fund that. But I'm also very aware that not everyone is as fortunate as I have been very early in my career. So I'm very grateful for where I am and the people I have, but it is not a cheap sport.
Mention your sponsors if you want to put them out as well, because I don't mind that. We've got, yeah, it's not. Say your thanks as well. Go on.
Yeah, massive thank you to bar personnel, CFS security, GFP for just letting me train there, and Zen Bodies for sorting my back out every other week.
Fantastic, fantastic. But when the dust is settled and the career is done and the gold is in the cabinet,
Yep.
what is Eilish going to be doing?
Well, to be fair, I've been winging it to this far. So, ideally, I would love to still have an involvement in boxing, whether that be commentary, whether that just be being in and around the upcoming boxers. Like, hopefully, with my career, if well, when I get to the level I want to achieve, and like I am world champion and I've done everything I've put my mind to, I just want to give back. And I think that's been my whole thing, my career so far. Like, I'd love to, like, I'm down the gym all the time, I'm helping the kids. I'm, I have PT, a few of them, just to keep them moving and just like teach
Okay.
them something. But I would just love to keep being involved in boxing because you can never really complete it. There's always that little itch and that little, like, your hands get ready to go. So you can always learn something. So I'd never want to leave the sport.
I think you're right. Once it's in the blood, it never leaves. And
Yeah, it is
yeah,
my life now.
yeah, because you see, former boxers and retired boxers. When we come to when I'm at shows, obviously, you know, we work in London sometimes, which is
Yep.
again a pinnacle of it because we have so many boxers that come in and sit through it and watch the show and every level, you know, from world champions, former world champions, coaches, the whole
Yep.
community is it's like our meet, isn't it? It's like, you know, it's a chance to network and catch up and see people you haven't seen for a while and as well. So I mean, yeah, it's a great. It's more than just a show. It is more than just
Yeah.
a show for them. You know, for many people, it's just coming along, watching the boxing, seeing the great production, watching some great fights. But for
Hmm.
those in the industry like yourselves and us and myself, it's an opportunity to meet with other people, people in our industry and sports that we haven't seen for a while, catch up. How's it all been? Particularly with, well, after lockdown as well, it was certainly an opportunity to catch up with a lot of people we haven't seen for a long time. So yeah,
Massively.
and that's what they say to me. They crazy. Why are you traveling all over the place? I was going, well, I'd like to be involved in the sport, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, no, I totally understand where you're coming from that one. So after it's everything said and done, you're going to give back. Respect to you on that one as well. Yeah, a lot of the ones we've spoken to as well. They're all very much a similar sort of thing. It's in your blood. Once it's in the blood, it doesn't get out of it, and you want to give back and be involved as much as possible. So yeah, who knows? you may be stable manager for. So others along the way, the
Never
ones
say
that you have
never.
inspired and got on the way as well. That would be awesome. I think a great way of bringing the career full circle as well for you as
That
well.
would be crazy.
So anyway, we're going to wrap it up now. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm just going to throw you some rapid, quick fire
Hmm.
questions, okay,
Yep.
and see where you go with these. Okay,
Yep.
you don't have to give reasons, just whichever one you. So it's either or. Southpaw
Yep.
or orthodox?
Orthodox.
Body shots or headshots?
Body shots.
Train alone or with a partner?
Alone.
Early bird, night owl.
Early bird. 100%.
Heavy bag or speed bag?
Heavy bag.
Underdog or favourite?
Underdog.
Gym or outdoors?
Gym.
Okay. Short and powerful punches or long and technical?
Long and technical.
Dirty or clean?
Clean.
Crowd or quiet atmosphere? You've had both, I'm sure.
I have had both, but I'll take a crowd.
Good. Quick knockout or strategic win?
A win's a win, but a knockout would be lovely. So quick knockout.
Quick knockout. AJ or Fury?
Fury.
Fine. No worries at all there. We're not going to ask you reasons why. We just leave it there. I think it's got about 50-50 at the moment. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
kind of go 50-50. It's got to happen at some point, I'm sure.
I hope it does. That'd be
I
a
hope
hell
it
of
does.
an undercard to be on.
Just can I put my hand up? Because I throw my hat in the ring. I'll undercut. I'll MC. I'll MC the undercard for you. That's fine.
That is absolutely fine. If I'm there, you're there.
That's good. Just talk to the management. That's fine. The promoters. It's all good. It's all good. Fantastic. Eilish, thank you very much for coming on. I really have loved having you on this podcast. It's been great to find out more about you. And yeah, things I didn't know about you as well. So thank you so much for coming on. And,
Thank you so much for having
How can
me.
people... my pleasure. My pleasure. How can people get in contact with you, or how can they get around and follow you and know what's happening with your life?
Just drop me an Instagram follow at eilish.tierney. I'm always active on there. I push all my fights and my tickets and everything on there. And if I'm not, my manager is. So it's always something on my Instagram. I always like to keep everyone up to date with what I'm doing, especially being not as well known. But it's just a solid base to start. So
That
drop
is
me a
just a matter
follow.
of time. That is just a matter of time. I have no doubt. I have no doubt. Eilish, thank you so much for coming on. And we will see you again in the ring real soon.
No, thank you.